Welcome to Entrepreneurial Reality with Bash. Every week we'll be speaking to startup and scale-up founders to learn about them, their ambitions for the business, goals and objectives. Every conversation is a moment in time, documenting entrepreneurs' current situation with a view to coming back next year to see how they are getting on. Each journey will be different. Each innovation could be game-changing. I hope you enjoy. So, episode 4 of series 1. If you think about what Amazon did for the sale of books, the Square Tech Group is doing for skilled workers. So I have Matt Rantell here with me, the CEO and founder. Please introduce yourself, Matt.
Hello, I'm Matt, CEO and founder of the Square Tech Group. I set up the Square back in 2016, and we launched officially in March 2017. The Square itself is it's a network and automated hiring marketplace for specialist skilled industries. So we're currently focused on construction, but we're going to be looking at other areas like healthcare and education and security in the future, but focus on construction at the moment. So how it all came about. So my background's in advertising and marketing, and spent sort of 10 years at big agencies, working with big global brands, doing that stuff for many years. And then in 2010, I set up another tech business, which was not dissimilar to Groupon. So I was looking at trends that are happening over in the US. What tends to happen is they're first movers, and then subsequently over in Europe, they copy that and then end up getting acquired. So the strategy, that's the kind of strategy we're looking to play with as well at the moment. So that group buying business I worked on for about a year with some other founders. We did that, and that was cool. Lots of learning experiences there, but we ran out of money. I personally ran out of money as well. But during that time, an old colleague of mine that I worked with at a previous agency, he set up a creative agency. He's on his own, and I said I'll go and help out. So towards the end of that 2010, we won our first bit of business, won a subsequent bit of business. So I ended up going back into the creative agency world for the next 5 years, and we built that business up from the two of us, or Robin in his bedroom, to just over 40 people in London and New York. Okay. So it's a successful creative agency, working with likes of Google, Get Taxi, Mizuno brand. So it's a good business. But me personally, I found that one of the challenges that we faced as a business was hiring, and in fact we spending every month quite a lot on recruitment fees, just because of the nature of the work we were doing. We'd always need people on a consultancy level, but they ended up staying for a long period of time. So we're spending thousands of pounds every month on these kind of recruitment fees, and that for us was a pain point. So and I always thought there must be a better way for employers to go and connect and hire individuals without having to go to recruitment agencies to pay expensive fees. So that was a pain point. And at the same time, I was personally looking at the business that we're in. It's great business, did really well, great work, great team, but it wasn't scalable to the same effect as a digital business. Right. So I was looking at about different businesses that I wanted to try and get into. Looked over in the US, and I saw a company called ShiftGig, which was trying to automate the recruitment process, and money going in from Silicon Valley into that particular business. And I thought, wow, there must be interest there. It must, because if Silicon Valley are investing it, it's going to be something. Subsequently, Job and Talent, Jobs Today over in Europe, but all those businesses, they're all doing very generic, low-skilled work. And what I see happening is that there will be those platforms, but for very specialist skilled industries. Because at the moment, you won't go and get a ward nurse hiring somebody off Job and Talent. You won't go and get a crane operating business hiring a crane operator from one of those platforms. But they still need it, and there's still a marketplace for it. And that's where the idea was born, really, of the Square, creating a network and specialist automated hiring marketplace for specialist skilled industries. And that's how we got to it. So I exited, left my business back in 2015, set it up, and here we are, 2 years down the line.
Fantastic. So the concept, the idea, what made you take the step from the successful media business to a marketing agency to the Square? So
well, I think there's personal aspirations. I think that's probably what drove it. I've always wanted to own my business, and I was a minority shareholder within that business. So I had that. Plus, I like the idea of building products. and the idea of building something at scale, I think that for me is really exciting. And over the past 15 years of my career in marketing and advertising, I've always gone out and preached that to these businesses. This is how you could go out and create a brand. This is how you go and position a brand. This is how you go out and sell a brand and like market and price positioning. So we've done all that and helped brands do that. I wanted to do that for myself. So that was one of the key things I wanted to do.
Great. So do you have any sort of technical background in building the technology platform? How did you go about creating first the market viable product, and then have you gone out to receive funding to help expand the platform and take it to market aggressively?
Yeah, so no, I don't have tech experience. We've managed projects before with technical teams and different teams, and that's where I guess running businesses is what I've got experience in previously. But we went out, so back in 2015, I raised a little bit of money, and actually at the time did it through, I did part cash, part services. So it was a tech team based remotely in Buenos Aires, and they helped build out the initial platform. We did that throughout 2016. I raised again, so 250,000 end of 2016. So we did that with some very experienced investors, which was, I think, really important for us. We wanted to get a tech investor, someone who's built and scaled a very large tech business. I wanted to get a customer, so I've got the biggest brickwork contractor in the UK. I wanted to get a competitor, someone we're cannibalizing, so a recruitment firm. So that's a strategic set of investors. So we built that throughout 2016, and then we brought the tech in-house in end of 2016, early 2017, and then we launched in March 2017.
And fantastic! It's quite interesting to hear that you are specifically going out sourcing strategic investment to help grow and scale your business. So you're bringing in not only the money, you're bringing in the intelligence, the knowledge, the industry expertise to really help add value to what you're doing. So that's fantastic.
And in the early days, don't forget, I mean, that was an idea on a page at the time. So to try out and go and invest it helps qualify the idea. So I've got a tech guy who qualifies the scale of the opportunity, how big it can really be. I've got someone who understands the pain point that we're addressing. And I've also got somebody who goes, if this is going to cannibalize my business, I want in as well. So that it qualifies it in 3 different ways, which I thought was reassuring for me, but also good for the business as well.
Great. And in 2017, it was quite eventful for you. You received an award, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah. So we after our launch in end of March. We were working, and obviously what the Square does, we help companies save money. We're trying to put efficiencies in place so employers can go and hire relevant, skilled construction professionals much easier, quicker and cheaper. So after the first 6 months we were operating, we ended up saving them about £2.5 million today on average, compared to recruitment agencies or advertising in local magazines or papers. So for that, we applied for different awards, and one was we won, which was the Building Awards, the biggest construction and built environment awards in the UK. We won Digital Efficiency Initiative of the Year 2017. So yeah, dead chuffed about that, and it's a nice little accolade. I mean, whether or not we saw any commercial impact on that, but I think it's just something to give a nod to what we're doing and the team as well. Yeah, validation is key, and it's really good. That recognition in the industry is very valuable in the future, I'm sure. Yeah. Okay, so could you tell me a bit more about other aspects of Matt Rantell? I'm interested in lots of them. I think you always try and look at other people that inspire you, and you always read about all these different massive entrepreneurs and people, and they keep themselves busy. They're always learning, always hungry. And some of my family are very successful entrepreneurs independently, and they're always learning, always trying to improve. And I guess I've tried to do that as well in my own way. But I'm interested. Yeah, part of the Jack Petchey Foundation, which is a charitable trust. We invest in young people in London and Essex, set up by Sir Jack Petchey, and we've invested just almost £120 million over the past 18 years, 18-year anniversary this year. Wow. But what we do, we invest in young people from 11 to 24, just try to help inspire young people to be better parts of society. Mm-hmm. So that's been a good experience. I've been there for 3 years now and sat on the board. Yeah, and I'm incredibly proud to be a part of it. But I guess from an entrepreneur's perspective, it's good to get that. I like the idea of giving back is key, and I've always thought that you've got to make something first before you give back, because everyone's expected, well, if you do become very successful, then that's a stage. And it's about how you manage your time, because obviously time is the most precious asset to any founder over anything. It's about how you spend it. How can you be more productive with your time? So that's the opportunity cost. I want to go out and spend a bit of time just giving back.
Yeah, great. So coming back to your project, you're here and now.
Yes.
Are you currently looking for funding to further expand and grow your business?
Yeah, so we're doing a funding. We're interesting because we're at a point now where we're almost breaking even, which some startups rarely get to. So I've stripped back some of the costs that we were spending in terms of the development side of things, because we've built a product now. Now we're looking about, all right, let's go out and get more people on it, because we're building both sides of that marketplace. So we're almost in a very good position to go out and say, right, do we grow organically, or do we really scale? And I think my ambition is to scale a massive international business. And I was recently over in Y Combinator over in California for the final interview over there. So our ambition is to get over to the US. It's a massive market, and other markets as well.
Yes.
As soon as possible. So we are fundraising. So yeah, any investors listening, give us a buzz.
Yes, definitely do so. And could you just give me an understanding of, I suppose it's all up in the air at the moment, but roughly what sort of amount of investment you're looking for?
Yeah, so we've raised 285,000 so far. Invested, got a director's loan, put another 300,000 in as well. So we're looking for 600,000 now.
Okay, and that would be for international expansion. It would be for vertical orientation. So you said construction industry, healthcare, and so on. We're not there yet. So we're not ready for international yet. We've got a long way to go within the UK market. The UK market's massive in construction. There's 3 million people in there, 296,000 companies. It's a massive market, and we're just skimming the surface at the moment. So we're focused purely on construction, purely on the UK for now. But that money will take us to a place where we'll then be fundraising, doing Series A to go and expand internationally and potentially different verticals. But I think the strategy we're looking at now is probably focusing on construction in the UK, construction in the US, and then going into looking at different verticals as well. But we have been talking to other partners about different verticals, like healthcare, education, and security. So if an opportunity arises, then we can go into that as well. But you've got to pivot. You don't know what opportunities do arise, so we can move quick. Have you spoken to any of the big service suppliers that cover those industries as a potential strategic partnerships as well? Have you considered that?
I think, again, going back to my point earlier about our time, how much time we invest in going into these different areas. And the construction industry is, we've got so much to do anyway. We've got so much to focus on. If we distract our time, not that I would ever turn down an opportunity, but sometimes saying no is the right thing to do. At the moment, we're focused on the construction industry, so we haven't been doing too much exploration. We have had conversations within the healthcare arena with some very interesting parties, but we're not progressing with anything just yet. Okay,
so the next steps, the next 12 months for the Square Group.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourselves in the next 12 months?
Yeah. So with the way things are going, we're growing quickly. We want to build our brand, continue building our brand. We want to get to just over 50,000 people on the platform in the UK, and we want to be looking at other different markets. So the US is certainly something that we want to try and get into as soon as possible. The whole nature of that, how the construction industry works, it's English speaking, so the barriers to entry in that respect are lower. So I'm keen to get over that as soon as possible, and we're looking at different other opportunities and avenues to get in to the US, but that'd be the appetite. But there's still plenty to do in the UK in terms of market share. We're working with the Department for Work and Pensions about how we can get more people into the industry. We're working with lots of the different trade bodies. I had a conversation with the Home Office recently about how we can put more competency level in there. So we're having some really interesting conversations right now, and I sure want to build and actually materialize some of these conversations.
There's some movements in government across from technology to healthcare that may help in terms of accessing that market as well. So,
well, the appetite's there, I think, and the need is there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about how do you overcome the crappy red tape that exists. And I mean, even some of the conversation we're having, they almost advised not to engage formally with these organizations because it will slow down the red tape. So do it independently as an industry body, like private enterprise, and then going in and doing it that way, because the red tape is far less rather than having government involved.
I see.
Which is really interesting, which and terribly, really sad to hear, sadly, because you think about those opportunities. But I think we're going in the right direction. We're going in the right direction.
Yeah, in the market generally, the speed of change is accelerating. The technology innovation that's coming about, like the Square Group, is really disrupting industries left, right, and centre. So, yeah, it's really interesting, and there's a lot of opportunity in front of people with great ideas. So, what sort of challenges have you faced up to now that you can share with the listeners, and maybe provide some recommendations in overcoming those?
Yeah, sure. In terms of recommendations, I think doing stuff. Just doing stuff, actioning things is the most important thing to do. Mm-hmm. People like prat around and like have ideas, and the amount of times that I've been told by bricklayers, by whoever, by really smart people, I had that idea 7 years ago, way before you did, and that's fine. And I'm sure I'm not the first person to come up with this idea. It's all about execution. Going out and doing stuff and actioning things is probably the most important thing. Even if it's wrong, you're going to learn something, and that's fine. But just go out and do it. And what you'll find is, and I was frustrated with myself, I guess, looking back, being an employee for so many years in big agencies, was that I guess I learned masses throughout that time, and I did. And working in advertising, you run kind of little mini businesses, which is good, but there's always a fear, and it's a control thing. They don't want you to leave because you're smart and you're an asset to their business, and they want to keep you. But they always put the fear factors like, oh, running business is hard and all that. And yeah, it is, but that's fine. Doesn't mean you can't do it. And there's things that I can't code in terms of, I don't know how, like from a payroll perspective, all these different things. And this is just the running of the business. Just go out and do it. You'll learn. There's nothing you cannot learn to do. So just go out and do it. In terms of the other kind of experiences, don't spend too much too quickly. I think we're less affected by it probably than our US counterparts, but yeah, going out and bootstrap it to a certain extent until you've got proof of concept, and do it as cheaply and dirtily as you can, just to get an idea and feel for the market, which we did initially, but we probably could have done it even more so, I think. Okay. And then team is obviously really, really super important about how you can, and trying to find people that are different to the skill set you do, because everyone likes hanging out with people they like, and that tends to be because they usually, relatively similar. But sometimes that conflict, I was listening to Reid Hoffman, Master Scale, and talking about Sheryl Sandberg and Mark, she was saying about how different they are, Mark and her, and like she has works to different times of day, different country, different age differences, different stage of life, and that's good. Like she challenges him and vice versa, and I think that's good. So I spent quite a lot of time going and pursuing two of my key team. One managing director of a construction charity. I had no experience in construction, so she came in that respect. And then somebody who worked in recruitment. I had never worked in recruitment, and I'm kind of anti-recruiter. That's what we're trying to kill in essence. So I worked to try and find the right people to come in, and I think we found them. But again, spend some time doing that. I'm a sole founder. So again, that's quite unusual in many cases. And in fact, it puts off some VCs. But I think if you can hire the right team and incentivize the right team, and I think we've done that.
Great. And that's certainly an area that I'm always looking to learn about, because one thing, if I have a great idea and I want to execute on that idea, straight away I think, well, I need the skills to complement me and what I have as strengths. And where do I go to source those skills? And yes, there are incubators, Entrepreneurs First, I think, helps bring bright individuals together who may have not met each other before, may not even would have crossed paths, and then create multi-billion-dollar companies.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's really interesting. Well, we've covered off a lot of ground in
I
a short space of time.
I talk quite quickly.
So let's dig into the business a bit more. How is your business model structured? So how are you generating the revenue? How are you sort of charging your clients? Who are they?
So if I start about how current people are currently hiring, and that's what we're trying to challenge. So particularly in construction, but this is kind of a universal way of people hiring. Firstly, they'll do it organically. So they'll go out and let's say it's a bricklaying contractor. Come on, lads, you got any bricklaying mates that are available for a job down the road? And that's where you start. That kind of endorsement is what we all trying to hire by. So that will always happen. But it's important to understand that behaviour, that kind of endorsement. Secondly, they may go out and then do some paid advertising. And that may be through back of newspapers. So we look at the back of Metro and Evening Standard every day and see these people are paying anywhere up to £300 for an ad for 24 hours. They've got no idea if anybody is going to pick up the telephone. They've got no idea what the qualifications or identity of these people are. So it's quite expensive and there's no real guarantee. And then finally, the third way in which people are hiring is through recruitment agencies. And recruitment agencies are notoriously expensive. So you can get seeing percentages all the way up to 30% for short-term contracts, which is very expensive. So what the square is, I thought when I was as an employer, if we can build a bit of technology that can help match a relevant candidate to a relevant job based on skills, experience, qualifications, location, if we can build that technology and then we can sell that to an employer at cost plus a margin. And that's what we've done, and we've done that, and it's at a fraction of the cost. So the average cost for hiring last year in the construction industry was about £6,000. So that's 10% of a 60 grand salary, white collar salary. For a contractor, about £1,800. So to hire on the square, we charge a £49 or £499 subscription per month for an employer. So for £49, you can connect with up to 10 candidates. So that's £5 a hire.
Wow,
that's no success fees. So it's phenomenally cheaper than advertising or recruitment fees. Plus, we do a lot of verification. So you can go and see the candidates, you can see the qualifications that they have and see that they've been verified. And a lot of these guys, particularly in construction in the blue collar side, they don't really have CVs. They don't have profiles. There's been no transparency around it. We're giving them that profile. So not dissimilar to LinkedIn, but for the construction industry and very relevant to the construction industry. Reception has been fantastic from the industry. So we're dealing with almost 1,000 different employers now.
Yeah. So how do you cover the relationships and engagement by somebody on the phone, establishing that there's an open opportunity, then trying to source the relevant skills and putting them in front of that client for an interview? Across 1,000, you're scaling
exactly. It's the scale, and that's the challenge that we have. Is that how do you build that marketplace? It's a chicken and egg, right? So where do you start? How do you get? And when we first launched, where do we get? What are the jobs? Where are the good jobs? So we went out and we spoke to different. We did strategic partnerships with industry trade bodies, and so who are your companies? Give us your jobs. Just give us your jobs for free. Go on there and we build up some liquidity and inventory for jobs. And then at the same time, we went out and cleverly acquired or got people, relevant people to try and target to. And then we slowly built up the marketplace. So the past year, we've pretty much given it away for free to build up that. And now we're starting to generate the revenues, which is good.
So I see there's two clients. So there's the corporations that are looking to source the skills, but then there's also the individuals that are looking to publicize their availability to be recruited.
Yeah.
So how are you sourcing those individuals to be part of that marketplace?
Cleverly. So we do, again, hopefully this is where some of my marketing background and skills have come in, and bearing in mind we're kind of doing it on a shoestring at the moment. We're not doing any paid, so we're growing kind of organically. We have done paid stuff in the past, and we've done. There's no silver bullet, right? And this is what a lot of founders are looking for, and lots of VCs. They say, right, what's your cost per acquisition of a worker? Where do you get them from? And that's what they want to know, really. So for us, we've done all sorts of paid advertising, SEO, SEM. We've done partnerships. We've done member initiatives. We've done awards PR to try and get out there. So the marketing mix is full, and we're still trying to work out what that silver bullet is. But I think that we'll never find it. Social media has been good because we know the nature of the people who are on social media are on their phones. They're kind of digital, and they're going to be more responsive and likely to be able to download an app to go and source a job. There's no silver bullet just yet.
No, of course.
We're looking for it.
In terms of the platform, then it's available via the web, but also is there an app?
Yeah, you can do it in it. We're absolutely device agnostic, so you can get it on desktop, laptop, mobile, and even on your smartwatch.
So the whole point of our conversation is to establish the here and now, where you are today, and then a view for the next 12 months. You very kindly shared that with us. Hopefully you'll come back.
Can't wait to do that.
Yeah, that'd be great. There's a lot of work involved.
Between now and then.
Yes. So with regards to you as an individual, you mentioned a podcast that you listen to. Is there a particular book that you're reading at the moment, or a favourite one that you'd recommend the listeners?
Yeah. I'm going to put my hands up. I'm quite guilty that, yes, I have, but I'm really crap at remembering names of the books, so I'll have to get back to you on those. But things like podcasts, I mean, as an example, Reid Hoffman's Masters of Scale, I think as I'm trying to build a scale business, listening to all the different types of people that he speaks to, be that Mark or Sheryl Sandberg or all the other businesses he interviews, there's little nuggets in there and that are just so valuable, and you do apply them instantly. So I sit on the train, I was on my commute on the way home, and I just plug into that and listen to that. It's as good as a book, and sometimes they're just little short sound bites, and it's so simple. Most of this stuff is just keeping things simple. And again, that big, again, going back to my other bit of advice and recommendation is like keeping things simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. So yeah, I definitely recommend Reid Hoffman's Masters of Scale for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I second that definitely. It's an excellent listen. And in terms of entrepreneurs or business owners that you admire and follow, you mentioned Reid Hoffman from LinkedIn. Is there anybody else?
Yeah, and I've been asked this question before actually, and he's a bit of a classic, but because he's a marketer, he really attracts me to it, and it's Rich Branson. He has built a brand, and he's done it in a very effective way, but he's gone into all different industries. What did he know about flying planes across the Atlantic, train lines, recording music? So he's gone into loads of different things, and he's building a brand, and that's what we are trying to do. We are building the Square brand, and how we can do that, I think there's so many things that you can learn from someone like him, whilst having a bit of fun at it as well at the same time. There's lots of hard work, and everyone sees that exterior, but there's a very smart man behind it, and he obviously gets things done incredibly efficiently and effectively. So I'd certainly, him being one. There's other people as well out there who do, you look at some of the other tech businesses for sure, but also you can look at more conventional businesses. Yeah, my grandfather's a big inspiration for me. He sets up the Jack Petchey Foundation. But then there's also like people like Warren Buffett who sit there and he's been doing it for years, and he's an incredible businessman. And then about how they act beyond business side of things in terms of their personal lives. And you can see different traits. Keeping fit, again, we haven't really talked about that, but again, that's something that I'm certainly passionate about. So keeping yourself learning on a daily basis, but also how else you can keep self-mind alive.
So let's dig into that a little bit more about keeping fit, because I truly believe that people who are successful as an entrepreneur are very competitive. They always want to win. They may not necessarily be a sportsman or woman, but that they have that trait of competition and winning. And so I do ask this to every founder. So what is your favorite sport?
Yeah. So I've always loved rugby. Rugby has been my sport. So as a kid, and we I was relatively good at it. So we toured New Zealand and Fiji once, and I played hockey. So all round sports I enjoyed. I've always loved sport. So when I left university, I played for the team Brunel. I kind of lost out. I've kind of, as you end up mid-20s in London, enjoying going out, partying, and particularly working in advertising, you're finding the time to train quite difficult. So I ended up stopping rugby about 26. But then running, I've been running lots. So I've done a couple of marathons. I've got marathons are hard. And it takes a lot of dedication, not only for the race, but it's the training, particularly in the UK throughout the winter period, is incredibly hard. But and I guess you do have to be focused for that. But after doing a couple of them, we thought that's too hard, so we've gone into do ski marathons. So a couple of us go out, and we've been to Norway and Switzerland and done a couple of ski marathons, which is good. And most recently this year, we attempted what is known to be the toughest team ski mountaineering race in the world, the Puy de Glacier in Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
Which was incredibly hard, and in fact so hard that we didn't make it around the full course, which is a shame. So it basically means you're going over 110 kilometers worth of terrain, Swiss terrain, run by the Swiss military.
Oh, cool.
Throughout the night, as you're roped together over glaciers and stuff. So it's incredibly tough, great challenge, and that's what we're excited about it. But we just weren't there as a team. There's the three of us that went across. Unfortunately, we got pulled off. We didn't hit checkpoint in time, unfortunately. But it means we'll be going back in 2 years' time to reattempt it, I think. But, so sports has been a massive part of my life, and it still is on a daily basis. And be that running, tennis, skiing, watching. I'm a season ticket holder at West Ham, which I've been part of, so we go over to there. So yeah, it's been a big part of it, as well as family. And again, I'm married. I've got 3 young kids, a dog. So that's again been a challenge in that respect. Obviously, the commitment you have to make to founding and starting a startup over the past few years. I guess that's what I'm probably most thankful to my wife for allowing me to do it, giving me the encouragement that I needed. But also the cost of it. I don't see my kids during the week really, because I'm in late, leave early, finish late, and then I get to see them at the weekend. So that's tough, but hopefully it won't be worthwhile. It will be worthwhile, I hope.
Absolutely. So you talked about sport, but it's also adventure as well. It's the going and doing something that's unknown to you, beyond testing your limits. A bit like Sir Richard Branson and the number of activities he does, and I can see how that would complement the promotion of your business, you as a brand over time, as long as you can get that word out that this is what you're doing, this is my brand, and almost replicate what Sir Richard Branson has been doing over decades. So I think there's a lot of similarities there. Yeah,
and whether or not that's like, I don't see that as necessarily whether it's coincidence. It's not like I see him doing these adventures thinking, I've got to get in that kind of mindset. I think I've always been like it in terms of being competitive in sport. Plus, I think keeping fit physically and mentally is so super important. And I think sport and exercise is incredible way that it breaks down barriers. We do it at the Jack Petrie Foundation about sport, because not everyone's good academically. So it's about how can you else keep yourself mentally and strength fit, and then giving yourself a challenge also motivates you, because it's easy to turn the clock off. I get up at 6 o'clock and go for a run. It's so easy to turn that timer off and push snooze. But if you've got a marathon coming up and you go, right, I'm doing this marathon, I've committed, I've put my money down, I'm doing it with a mate, I can't let him down. You've committed yourself. And that is really important. So I try and do 1 or 2 different challenges a year, and that's really important to me, to maintain that. And it's you have to take time out, and there is compromise for that. It's either a compromise of a couple of hours sleep or feeling fatigued, but you'll feel fantastic, much better for it.
So it instills discipline. It instills a willingness to keep striving ahead when you come across adversity. And I suppose that translates into business and entrepreneurship as well. So, I really do see the value in that.
And I think it's those challenges that you do overcome, because whether it is running a marathon or learning to climb a mountaineering or learning new skills, it's that constant learning and that challenge and finding the solutions for it. Because in many cases, I think on a daily basis, we're trying to find solutions for problems or challenges or opportunities, and that's what we apply that in our personal lives every day as well.
Great. And so I'll ask this question every year, and hopefully the answer will be slightly different, because over the 12 months is the journey of learning and continual improvement. You'll have a different view on this. So what would you do differently knowing what you know now?
Good question. I think I always say to myself, I would have done it sooner. And many people do say that, I wish I did it earlier. In fact, my father-in-law, I wish I did it earlier. But I think you get to a stage where when you do decide to become a founder or do do something, I think it's all the experiences that you've had up until that point that make you make that decision. So the experiences that I went through working in advertising, working big brands, helping set up a business, helping grow that business. There's good and bad experiences in there. And without that, I wouldn't be the founder that I am today. And I've got so much more to learn, so much more to learn. And I think you will always be learning. So whether or not I'd actually go back and do it sooner, I'd like to think I would, but I don't think I'd execute as well as I have done, or we have done, by doing that. I think that's one thing. What else would I do differently? I think we would have got to market quicker. Specifically for the Square, how we can get to market quicker. We had plans to get 6 or 8 months earlier, but we had a challenge that we couldn't do anything about. We had to overcome them, so that pushed out that extension. So I'd love to be able to do that and manage that change differently. But they're all quite specific things in terms of like what we, based on the experience and the situation at that time. No, there's a few things. I mean, I try not to look back and think we regret. It's more about like, this is the situation we are now, and how can what's the best we can do with what we have now, and what are the opportunities going forward. Even on the bad experiences, I'm thankful for them in that respect.
Yeah, I saw a funny picture that Gary Vaynerchuk posted on Instagram, and it was it hurts your neck looking backwards. So in other words, always
I totally buy that.
Go forward. So that's great. That's great. So thank you so much for your time.
That's great. I enjoyed it.
I really appreciate the insights and recommendations that you've given, your experiences to date, and your focus on a particular problem within the industry and how you're solving it. So thank you.
Pleasure.
Great.
See you in 12 months.
Yes. Thank you. So what do you think? We'll have another interesting story to dive into next week. Looking forward to it already. Some questions to you in the meantime. What is your story? What is your reality right now? And what are you working towards? Let me know. So you can connect with me on Twitter. Just type in Bash in the search and you'll find me. So Bash, B-A-S-H. Easy. On Instagram, it's Bash Reality. So that's Bash_reality. And on LinkedIn, Benjamin Ashmore. Make sure you subscribe, and until next week, cheers.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.